Good morning, students. So you remember that I have uploaded a video tutorial in our last class that was explaining the chapter A Revision Tour to MySQL. But there were problems that I have encountered while I uploaded that video in that last class. The video had too many flickerings. So those flickerings might cause problem for the viewers while watching. So just to eliminate that problem of flickering, today I have uploaded another video teaching that same topic and the same chapter, that is a revision tour to MySQL. So I start with MySQL again. So what is MySQL? MySQL is the world's most popular open source relational database management system, in short RDBMS. MySQL is an open source product and it is free, and developers don't need to purchase or obtain any kind of proprietary license in order to use it. That is, it is available for free to download from the internet. For any user who needs to work in MySQL, they can easily download it from different sites, or they can even download it from the Play Store. So the next topic is MySQL Workbench. So what is MySQL Workbench? This is an easy to use graphical user interface, in short GUI. This tool is used by database developers as well as database administrator to work with MySQL database. So MySQL Workbench is just an interface for the developers to type and execute the MySQL commands. With the help of this MySQL Workbench, the developers get a chance to work with that platform and execute the MySQL commands. This is a sample screenshot of the MySQL Workbench. So the MySQL Workbench look something like this. The next topic is SQL. Its full form is Structured Query Language. So basically, what is an SQL? Structured Query Language is an industry standard language which is basically used for working with RDBMS systems. RDBMS means Relational Database Management System. An example of that is MySQL. So SQL, being an industry standard language, is used for working with RDBMS applications like MySQL. So MySQL has full support of SQL with some extensions. Now we are going to learn about the 4 sublanguages of SQL. Now before learning about these 4 sublanguages of SQL in detail, let us first categorize it. So at first we have the DDL, whose full form is Data Definition Language. Secondly, we have the DML, which is Data Manipulation Language. The third one is DCL, or Data Control Language. And the last one, which is the number 4, is DQL, whose full form is Data Query Language. We will be learning in detail about all these types of sublanguages of SQL in our next slide. Now let's start with DDL, that is Data Definition Language. So DDL statements are basically those statements which are used to describe the structure of a table or a database. The examples of such statements are create, alter, drop, etc. Now, out of these 3, that is create, alter and drop, you are already familiar with this create DDL statement, because with the help of the same create statement you are able to create a table in your class 11 standard. So create table is a very common statement which you have already encountered, by which you are able to create the table. Now similar to create, the alter table command can be used to alter a particular table, and the drop table command can be used to drop a particular table. Now in place of table, if we use the database, So we can use the create database command to create a database, and the alter database command to alter the database, and the drop database command to drop or to remove a database. Let's understand what is DML, that is data manipulation language. Now, just like how DDL was used to describe the structure of a table or a database, the DML statement can be used to manipulate the structure of a table or a database. So, DML, which means data manipulation language, are those statements which are used to store and manipulate the data. The examples of DML statements are insert, update, delete, etc. Out of these three, insert, update and delete, you are already familiar with the insert command because you have already come across this in class 11 standard. Using the insert statement, you are able to add records to a table. You are able to insert as many records or as many rows into a table. Now, just like insert helps us to add records into a table, the update statements helps us to modify the records already inserted into the table. In the same way, the delete statement can be used to delete the records which were inserted into the table. Now, what is DCL? That is data control language. These are those statements which help in managing the security of data. Now, the word security is very much important here because we don't want our data which is confidential to be exposed to some malicious attacks. Our data is highly confidential. Such sensitive data, if exposed to some malicious attacks, will put us in a problem. So, in order to help prevent the malicious attacks on our confidential data, we use some DCL statements like grant and revoke. The statement grant helps us to add some privileges to our data, and the statement revoke removes those privileges. So by using these statements such as grant and revoke, we can add some extra security to our data so that our data cannot be tampered. The next sublanguage is DQL, or data query language. Now, what is DQL? DQL is used to retrieve the data from a database. Now, one such DQL statement is the select statement. This is the statement which you have already encountered in your 11th standard, because using this select statement you are able to retrieve the records and display it on the MySQL workbench from a particular table. So, for displaying the records of a particular table, we make use of the select statement, which is a type of a DQL statement. All of you turn to page number 121. On this page number, we are going to study how to create and manage a database. Now, let's start with how to create a database. In MySQL server, we are provided with the provision to create unlimited number of database. That is, there is no fixed amount to how much database we may need to create. So depending upon the user's choice, he may create as many database as he wishes. So if a user wishes to create 50 databases, he can easily create those 50 databases. Or if he wishes to create 1000 databases, he can even create 1000 databases. But there is one important thing. Once you create a database, you must give a unique name to the database, because MySQL server does not provide us with the option to store identical databases. Therefore, each database that you create should have a unique name. There cannot be any two identical databases. Now, in this slide, you are going to study how to create a database. Now, the process to create a database goes like this. At first, you should know the syntax of creating a database. The syntax is basically the prototype to create a database. Now check the second line, see the statement create database, then within that angle bracket you have the text database name. That text will be replaced by the name of the actual database that you wish to create. Now just after the statement create database name, never forget to put that semicolon, because in MySQL every statement should be terminated by a semicolon. Now just come below that line, see the example. Now say for example you wish to create a database named college, then the statement to create that will be like this: create database college. Now the word college has replaced the text database name in the syntax above. This is because the text database name is just the prototype, which should be replaced by the actual database that you are going to provide. Now if you don't wish to create the database name college, say you wish to create a different database, then you are going to put the name of that particular database in place of the text database name. Now just come below and check the note. There can be instances where the same database name college might have been created by a different user before. In that case, as you know, that MySQL prohibits the creation of identical databases. That is, it doesn't allow the two databases to be identical. So MySQL will throw an error in such cases. So the proper statement to create a database just to avoid the creation of identical database will be different, and we are going to discuss about that in the next slide. In this slide you are going to learn how to write the proper statement to create a database. Now the proper statement to create a database is like this. Just see the top of the slide. It's create database if not exists college semicolon. Now see the text if not exists. This text if not exists is very important. This is because the database name college will only be created if it was not created by a different user before. So this statement is very useful for creating a database which is not identical. So the word if not exists helps eliminating the creation of identical databases.